Let's turn our attention back to the markets right now. We are seeing some of the optimism on this vaccine rollout coming through today. All three majors firmly in the green. I want to bring in Tiffany Hsiao. She is a partner at Artisan, joining us today. Tiffany, I know you're really focused on some of the Asian markets, but let me just get your sense of what you're seeing play out right now today here in the U.S. markets on the back of this initial rollout of the vaccine and some potential optimism of some kind of stimulus deal being put through.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me. Markets do dislike uncertainty. So having the vaccine and having the support of the government in terms of some new stimulus measures, I think do help market sentiment.
And Tiffany, I mean, when we think about that improving market sentiment, where do you see the best opportunities out there? Because we've seen this rotation away from growth into cyclicals because of that optimism that Americans are going to return to normal rather quickly, considering the statistics we've seen in pent-up savings, what that could do when the switch is flipped.
Yeah, in China, what we're seeing is that because the government has been effective in controlling the COVID-19 virus since late May, most of the economy is really back on track. So people are back at work, indoor shopping malls are open, people are eating out. So in terms of consumption and optimism, it is very alive and well in China.
What specific sectors are you looking at there? If you think about some of the American investors who've been looking at the market, certainly the big tech names, the bats, if you will, have been an attractive one. And yet this year we have seen a crackdown from the government on the regulatory front, and we saw those stocks move to the downside in a significant way. How do you weigh that risk along with the growth potential of some of these names?
Yeah, in my view, the most attractive part of the Chinese investment universe right now is really in the smaller companies, the most entrepreneurial part of the economy. The larger companies do have to face regulatory risk because some of them are so large that they become systemic if something does go wrong in terms of the risk. So once you look into the smaller, more entrepreneurial companies, a lot of times these entrepreneurs are creating brand new markets. They are disrupting old markets. They're bringing better solutions to China. So from that standpoint, the regulators are encouraging these type of innovation.
The other thing, too, is you label the opportunity in China on par with what happened in Silicon Valley back in the 80s, which is rather large when we think about opportunities. To me, though, watching it all play out, it seems like there would be the question of prioritizing Chinese enterprises over some U.S. competitors. Tesla, obviously, looking to expand in China. What do you make of that sentiment when we think about maybe protectionist policies that could threaten the upside potential for U.S. companies operating there?
So I believe China is actually well positioned. Either we go into a deglobalizing world or we continue down the path of globalization. And that is because it is working on what is calling dual circulation, which is it is supporting a large internal consumption engine that will support China's path towards technology self-sufficiency if we do continue to deglobalize. But at the same time, if we are back on the globalization track, China already is the world's biggest factory and is the world's largest consumer base. It is ready and willing to embrace foreign products. And you might not know this, but Elon Musk himself actually has a permanent residency to the city of Shanghai. That's how much China is opening up and to foreign talent and foreign products.
What about looking at Taiwan too? There's been a lot made about how they have really more quickly than China been able to recover from the pandemic, but also a lot of those names, especially in the chip space, seeing a big bump on the back of the crackdown from the U.S. and the tensions between the U.S. and China. A company like TSMC, for example, being seen as a big beneficiary. How are you looking at that space as a potential opportunity?
Semiconductors are what I call the new oil. In the new economy where most things are driven in the cloud, they're virtual, whether it's payments, gaming, software, these are all powered by semiconductors. And in the old world where oil is a critical national resource, Similarly, countries will now start to think about semiconductors in that very strategic manner. So, having semiconductor access, manufacturing, design capabilities built within China is absolutely critical to China's own self sufficiency. So, we will continue to see developments and rapid developments in semiconductors throughout the region. Taiwan plays a very interesting role because it does play on both sides. It does make all of the chips for big players like AMD and NVIDIA. And at the same time, a lot of the top Chinese technology companies also depend on TSMC to make its products. So it is a very interesting position where Taiwan is today.
Tiffany Hsiao, a partner at Artisan. It's good to talk to you. Really appreciate your time today.
Thank you.